In 1982, Fast Times at Ridgemont High looked like another wild teen comedy. But hidden inside that movie was a cast that would go on to reshape Hollywood. Sean Penn became an Oscar winner. Jennifer Jason Leigh built a respected career. Judge Reinhold became a familiar face. And Nicolas Cage, credited under a different name, was only beginning his strange journey to stardom. But not everyone from Ridgemont High followed the same path. 44 years later, some stories are inspiring, some surprising, and one may be the biggest transformation of them all. Before Fast Times at Ridgemont High became a cult classic, nobody knew that its young cast was about to become part of Hollywood history. The movie arrived in theaters in August 1982, based on Cameron Crowe's book about life inside a Southern California high school. On the surface, it looked like a funny and sometimes shocking teenage comedy. But underneath the jokes were stories about friendship, relationships, pressure, mistakes, and growing up. What made the movie special was its cast. Many of the actors were still young and largely unknown. They did not look like polished Hollywood stars yet. They looked like real teenagers trying to figure out their lives. That made the characters feel believable, and it also gave several performers a chance to show talents that Hollywood would notice later. One of the biggest surprises was Sean Penn. Penn played Jeff Spicoli, the laid-back surfer who seemed almost impossible to take seriously. He was funny, careless, and constantly getting under the skin of his teacher, Mr. Hand. At first glance, Spicoli seemed like a simple comedy character, but Penn did something unexpected. He made the character unforgettable. The same movie also featured Jennifer Jason Leigh as Stacy Hamilton, Judge Reinhold as Brad Hamilton, Phoebe Cates as Linda Barrett, and a young Nicolas Cage, who appeared in a small role before becoming one of Hollywood's most recognizable actors. There was another interesting detail. Some future stars were not even considered the most important names in the movie when it was released. That would change. As the years passed, the cast members moved in completely different directions. Some became award-winning actors. Some became television favorites. Some stepped away from acting almost entirely. And others continued working for decades without ever reaching a level of fame that fans expected. That is what makes looking back at Fast Times at Ridgemont High so fascinating. The movie captured teenagers at a moment when their futures were still uncertain. In a strange way, the real lives of the actors followed the same pattern. And one actor in particular would turn a goofy teenage character into the beginning of an extraordinary career. That actor was Sean Penn. It is hard to imagine Jeff Spicoli becoming one of Hollywood's most respected actors. But that is exactly what happened. When Sean Penn appeared in Fast Times at Ridgemont High, he was only 22 years old. His character, Jeff Spicoli, was a carefree surfer who seemed to have only one goal in life: have fun and avoid responsibility. The role could easily have become a career trap. Instead, Penn turned Spicoli into something much bigger. His performance was filled with small details. The relaxed voice, strange expressions, endless confidence, and completely different attitude towards school made Spicoli feel like a real person rather than a cartoon character. Even his scenes with teacher Mr. Hand became some of the movie's most memorable moments. But Penn did not want to spend his career playing variations of Spicoli. He quickly began choosing more serious roles. During the 1980s, he appeared in films such as Bad Boys, At Close Range, and Colors. His performances showed a side of him that was almost the opposite of Spicoli. Instead of playing the funny surfer, Penn increasingly took on troubled, intense, and complicated characters. Then came the performances that changed how Hollywood viewed him. Penn received his first Academy Award nomination for Dead Man Walking in 1996. Years later, he won the Oscar for Best Actor for his performance as Harvey Milk in Milk. He won another Best Actor Oscar for Mystic River. Suddenly, the actor who had once spent his time asking about pizza and surfing had become one of the most decorated dramatic performers of his generation. That transformation is one of the strangest parts of the Fast Times story. But Penn's career was not without controversy. His personal life, relationships, political activism, and outspoken public behavior often attracted almost as much attention as his acting. At different points, the press focused heavily on his private life, while Penn continued taking demanding roles. Yet there was always a clear pattern. He refused to remain trapped by the image audiences first had of him. And that may be the biggest lesson behind his career. Spicoli was memorable because Penn played him so naturally. But Penn's later success proved that the role was never the limit of what he could do. In 2026, Sean Penn is still working in film, decades after most people would have expected the young surfer from Ridgemont High to disappear into Hollywood history. But Penn was not the only actor whose career changed dramatically after the movie. For another member of the cast, the road ahead would become much quieter, and her decision would leave fans wondering what might have happened if she had chosen a completely different life. While Sean Penn was transforming himself into a serious dramatic actor, two other familiar faces from Fast Times at Ridgemont High were building careers of their own. Jennifer Jason Leigh played Stacy Hamilton, the quiet teenager whose story became one of the film's most emotional threads. Leigh was only 20 when the movie was released, but she already had experience as an actress. Her performance as Stacy was very different from Sean Penn's loud and unforgettable Spicoli. Stacy was uncertain, curious, and trying to understand relationships while dealing with the confusing pressures of being a teenager. That vulnerability made the character stand out. After Fast Times, Leigh continued working steadily. She appeared in films such as Easy Money, Last Exit to Brooklyn, Backdraft, and Single White Female. Rather than becoming known only as a former teen star, she built a reputation for taking difficult and often unsettling roles. One of the biggest turning points came with Dolores Claiborne in 1995, followed years later by acclaimed work in films such as A Hateful Eight. Her performance in Quentin Tarantino's Western earned her an Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actress. That was a long way from Ridgemont High. Leigh continued acting into the 2020s, proving that her career was never built around nostalgia alone. She kept taking new roles and remained respected for her ability to disappear into complicated characters. Then there was Judge Reinhold. He played Brad Hamilton, Stacy's older brother, a character dealing with a very different kind of teenage pressure. Brad wanted to be respected. He wanted a good job, a good reputation, and control over his life. But things kept going wrong. Reinhold's performance helped make Brad one of the movie's most relatable characters. And after the film, his career quickly expanded. He became especially recognizable through the Beverly Hills Cop films, where he played Detective Billy Rosewood alongside Eddie Murphy. He also became a major part of the Santa Claus film series, playing Dr. Neil Miller. Unlike Penn, Reinhold did not completely leave comedy behind. Instead, he moved comfortably between comedy, television, and supporting roles. By 2026, both Leigh and Reinhold have something important in common. Neither needed to chase the same kind of fame as Sean Penn. They built long careers by continuing to work, even when Hollywood's attention moved toward younger generations. But there was another Fast Times performer whose story became very different. Phoebe Cates was one of the most recognizable young stars of the movie. Her beauty made her an instant teen icon, yet she eventually made a decision that surprised many fans. She largely stepped away from acting, and that raises an intriguing question. Why would someone with so much fame choose to leave Hollywood behind? Some Hollywood careers are built by chasing bigger roles. Others become interesting because the actor decides to stop chasing them. Phoebe Cates is one of the clearest examples. After Fast Times at Ridgemont High, Cates quickly became one of the most recognizable young actresses of the 1980s. Her role as Linda Barrett made her famous, but she did not remain trapped in that image. She appeared in films including Gremlins, Private School, and Drop Dead Fred. For several years, she was a familiar face on movie screens. Then something changed. Cates gradually stepped away from acting. Her last major film appearance came in the early 1990s, and she became far less visible in Hollywood. There was no dramatic public announcement that she had been forced out of the business. Instead, she simply chose a quieter life. Cates married actor Kevin Kline in 1989, and the couple built a family away from the constant pressure of celebrity life. She later became involved in running a New York City boutique, Blue Tree, giving her a very different connection to the public. For fans who remember her as Linda Barrett, seeing how little she appears in modern Hollywood can feel surprising. But her story becomes even more interesting when compared with another Fast Times actor who did almost the opposite, Nicolas Cage. Cage had only a small role in the movie, He played Brad's co-worker at the fast food restaurant and was credited as Nicholas Coppola, using his birth name at the time. He was just starting out, and he was determined not to be known simply as the nephew of legendary director Francis Ford Coppola. He adopted the stage name Nicolas Cage and began building a career that would become one of the most unusual in Hollywood. Unlike Cates, Cage never really disappeared. He moved from smaller dramatic roles into films such as Raising Arizona, Moonstruck, Leaving Las Vegas, Face Slash Off, Con Air, and National Treasure. His performance in Leaving Las Vegas earned him the Academy Award for Best Actor. But Cage's journey also included major financial problems and a period when his movie output became extremely large. His reputation changed, yet he continued working. In later years, films like Pig and The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent reminded audiences that the actor still had much more to offer than his wildest performances suggested. And then there is the strangest comparison of all. Cates stepped away from the spotlight. Cage embraced it. Penn transformed himself. Leigh kept evolving. Reinhold kept working. The same movie had launched them from roughly the same starting point, but their destinations could not have been more different. And there were still several members of the cast whose stories remained hidden behind the movie's most famous names. Some continued acting quietly. Others moved into different areas of the entertainment world. To understand the true legacy of Fast Times, we have to look beyond the stars everyone remembers. The biggest names from Fast Times at Ridgemont High are easy to remember. Sean Penn, Jennifer Jason Leigh, Phoebe Cates, Judge Reinhold, Nicolas Cage. But the movie's world was much bigger than those 5 actors. Several other performers helped create the strange, funny, and sometimes uncomfortable atmosphere that made Ridgemont High feel like a real school. One of them was Brian Backer, who played Mark Ratner. Rat was nothing like Spicoli. He was shy, awkward, and nervous around Stacy. His storyline showed another side of teenage life, the fear of rejection and the desperate desire to be liked. Backer continued acting after Fast Times, appearing in television and film projects, but he never became a major Hollywood celebrity. Eventually, he stepped away from the constant attention of the entertainment business. That is an important part of the Fast Times story. Not every actor who appeared in a famous movie wanted to spend the next 40 years trying to become a superstar. Then there was Vincent Schiavelli, who played Mr. Vargas, the biology teacher. Schiavelli became one of Hollywood's great character actors. His unusual appearance and distinctive voice made him instantly recognizable, even when audiences did not know his name. He worked constantly in movies and television, appearing in productions such as One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, Ghost, and Batman Returns. Unlike some of the younger cast members, Schiavelli built his reputation slowly, one memorable supporting role at a time. Ray Walston also became an important part of the film as Mr. Hand, Spicoli's frustrated teacher. Walston was already a veteran actor when Fast Times was made. His career stretched back decades, including his famous television role in My Favorite Martian. His performance as Mr. Hand became one of the movie's most quoted and remembered elements. The interesting thing is that these actors did not all follow the same definition of success. Some became famous. Some became respected character actors. Some left the business. And some continued working quietly for decades. That is why looking at the cast today can feel almost like opening an old yearbook. The faces are familiar, but the lives behind those faces went in completely different directions. And perhaps the biggest surprise is what happened to the movie itself. Because Fast Times at Ridgemont High did not simply survive as an old teen comedy. It became something much bigger. Over the decades, new audiences discovered it. Lines, scenes, characters, and performances became part of American pop culture. The film helped prove that a teen movie could be funny and rebellious while still showing confusion and consequences of growing up. But there is one final question. After 44 years, what does Fast Times actually mean? Was it simply a snapshot of teenage life in 1982? Or was it the beginning of a Hollywood story that nobody could have predicted? That answer becomes much clearer when we look at what the movie's cast left behind. 44 years is a long time in Hollywood. Actors grow older. Careers change. Some stars become legends, while others slowly disappear from public view. But Fast Times at Ridgemont High is still remembered, And when you look at what happened to its cast, that staying power becomes even more remarkable. The movie was released in 1982, but its influence did not end when it left theaters. Over time, it became a cult favorite and an important part of American teen movie history. What makes the story unusual is that nobody could predict the futures of these young actors. Sean Penn went from playing Jess Piccoli to winning 2 Academy Awards for acting. Jennifer Jason Leigh moved from teenage drama into challenging adult roles and earned an Oscar nomination for The Hateful Eight. Judge Reinhold became a familiar face through Beverly Hills Cop, Ruthless People, Fast Times, and the Santa Claus films. Phoebe Cates chose a quieter path and largely left acting behind. Nicolas Cage, who had only a small role, became an Oscar-winning actor whose career eventually stretched across everything from serious dramas to huge action movies and unusual independent films. Even the supporting actors became part of the movie's lasting identity. That is the hidden story behind Fast Times. It was never really just about one cast. It was about a group of young performers standing at the beginning of lives they could not yet understand. At the time, they were playing teenagers who believed their problems were enormous. Who was dating whom? Who was going to get fired? Who was going to pass a class? Who was going to be embarrassed? Who was going to fit in? Those problems felt huge because at that age, they were huge. And perhaps that is why the movie still works. The actors grew older, but the emotions did not. The movie captured something universal about being young and not knowing what comes next. There is also a powerful lesson in the different paths the cast took. Hollywood success is not one straight road. Some people chase fame and find it. Some find success after years of struggle. Some build quiet careers without becoming household names. And some decide that fame is simply not worth the cost. Phoebe Cates' decision to step away shows that disappearing from Hollywood does not automatically mean failure. Sean Penn's transformation shows that one famous role does not have to define an actor forever. Nicolas Cage's career shows just how unpredictable Hollywood can be. And Jennifer Jason Leigh's long career proves that staying power can be more important than becoming the biggest star in the room. So, 44 years later, perhaps the most fascinating part of Fast Times at Ridgemont High is not trying to decide which actor became the biggest star. It is realizing how many different futures were hiding inside one movie. The young people we watched in 1982 could not see what was coming. Neither could the actors playing them. And maybe that is the real reason audiences keep returning to Ridgemont High. Because underneath the comedy, the famous scenes, and the unforgettable characters was a simple truth. Nobody knows where life is going to take them. Some dreams happen, some disappear, some arrive decades later. And sometimes, the person you barely notice at the beginning ends up becoming the one everyone remembers. So after 44 years, which Fast Times at Ridgemont High actor do you think had the most surprising journey? And whose career turned out completely differently from what you expected? Let me know in the comments below.